Get ready, Nashville. The zoo's newest adventure, Leopard Forest, opens Friday, June 20th. Come explore 4 immersive habitats featuring colobus monkeys, klipspringers, DeBrazis monkeys, and the return of the majestic Maasai giraffes. And don't miss the stars of the show, critically endangered Amur leopards. Come to the zoo on June 20th for the ribbon cutting at 9:30 a.m. The first 2,000 guests get a free Leopard Forest bandana. And check out the zoo's social media and look for the Seeing Spots Challenge for a chance to win a zoo membership. Adventure awaits. Today on CityCast Nashville, it's time for our Friday News Roundup. Joining me to break down this week's biggest news stories are executive producer Whitney Pasternak and producer Daniel Sumstein. We've got a boring update on Elon Musk, plus Congressman Mark Green's curious retirement, and the downtown library garage fire that's still under investigation. Oh, and don't worry, we do have some good news in the mix, too. It's Friday, June 13th. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about. I wish we could all hold hands as we report this very first story out of our city. Elon Musk's The Boring Co. is in talks with Tennessee state officials about drilling a tunnel from B&A to downtown Nashville.
We need a better way to get there. Could this be it?
Could this be it? The Business Journal has learned that multiple sources have confirmed these talks and that the project could mimic what we've seen with the underground Tesla tunnels in Vegas. The Metro Nashville Airport Authority said since late 2024, there has been numerous rumored and or hypothetical discussions regarding connecting Nashville International Airport to downtown via tunnel. Just like the theoretical discussions regarding the possibility of colonizing Mars in the future.
Did the airport say that?
Yes, that's a quote.
From the airport?
Yes, the airport authority.
They're throwing like a little bit of shade there, it feels like.
Colonizing Mars.
I was going to bring up colonizing Mars when I reacted to this news, but the airport has done it for me, and I just am overjoyed by this information. So in 2019, Elon Musk began boring tunnels around Vegas. I believe he is contracted for something like 68 miles of tunnels. He's only 67.2 miles short. He has so far been able to open a pair of tunnels covering a 0.8 mile loop under the convention center. The pair of tunnels cost roughly $50 million to build and were funded by the Las Vegas Convention and Airport Authority. So I'm going to just pull out a calculator and let's call it 50 million per mile. Let's give him credit for the extra 0.2. So 50 times the, 8 miles from the airport to the convention center. Let's just say we put it going between the convention center and the airport. That equals $400 million. This would cost if this were to happen, which it won't. And I think we should reach out to our colleagues at CityCast Vegas and have them come on to tell us more about why our city should not do this. But it does sound like the airport's already on team no. I love this for us.
I love it too. In more serious news, Nashville is in the national spotlight because Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man who was wrongly deported by the Trump administration to El Salvador in March, has been returned to the U.S., but not to Maryland. No, he's right here in Nashville after a federal grand jury in the Middle District of Tennessee indicted him on 2 counts of human trafficking. According to the Tennessee Lookout, the criminal charges stem from a November 2022 traffic stop in Putnam County by the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Abrego Garcia was driving an SUV with 9 Hispanic men when he was pulled over for speeding on Interstate 40, about 80 miles east of Nashville, court records say. He was not charged in the incident when it happened. Prosecutors now allege that further investigation revealed the stop involved Abrego Garcia smuggling migrants within the United States illegally. Federal prosecutors have asked the judge to keep Abrego Garcia detained until trial with claims that he might pose a flight risk. He remains in custody here and is scheduled to be arraigned today, June 13th.
It's worth noting that a lot of people, when this news broke last week, a lot of people immediately reported that the decision to indict Abrego Garcia prompted the abrupt resignation of Ben Schrader, who's the former chief of the criminal division for the U.S. Attorney's Office here in Middle Tennessee, based in Nashville. Schrader announced his resignation on LinkedIn on May 21st, which was, according to these recently unsealed court documents, the same day that those indictments came down. And he wrote, "The only job description I've ever known is to do the right thing in the right way for the right reasons." So we've got this man who was wrongly deported suddenly back in the U.S. in Nashville. And then you've got the chief of the criminal division of our local U.S. Attorney's Office resigning the same day he gets indicted. I personally don't believe that that's a coincidence, but it could be. Ben Schrader has still not told anything more than that LinkedIn post to anybody.
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence either, Whitney. I'm also just baffled that, as you mentioned, Marie, he was not charged in the incident. So, like, we can just bend the law now to just be like, oh, JK, now we can look into this further.
Well, I'll be curious to see what the U.S. prosecutors have, and the public defender who was appointed to represent Garcia in this case has declined comment on these charges, but it will all be happening here in Nashville.
In Nashville. That was not on my bingo card.
It really was not. This man who has created kind of a national firestorm, an international firestorm around his wrongful deportation washing up here is definitely a little bit weird.
Now let's turn our attention to local politics. Daniel, what's going on?
Yeah, so in Tennessee District 7, Congressman Mark Green surprised many by announcing his retirement from Congress for a can't-miss private sector opportunity.
Woo! Just a reminder to everybody, we, Nashville, many of you here live in Tennessee Congressional District 7. After the gerrymandering, we are 5, 6, and 7 all represent us.
He said he won't leave until Trump's budget bill gets passed, the big, beautiful bill. Ugh. But now reporting from Notice suggests he may have been quietly pitching a mysterious business deal in Guyana tied to the country's booming oil economy. According to multiple sources, Green has been using his position, even during meetings with lobbyists, to float an investment opportunity without revealing key details, prompting ethical concerns about conflicts of interest while he remains in office. It's worth noting that Green is currently still in Guyana and has missed multiple votes this week.
Yeah, I love that this, according to that story from Notice, that's Notus, Green's behavior has been raising eyebrows even amongst his Republican colleagues. Republican Representative David Joyce of Ohio told Notice, "When you get elected to this job and you take an oath of office, you have only one concern, the best interest of the country." Another GOP member, according to Notice, had a more blunt response when asked about Green taking the job and remaining in office. Quote, "What the WTF?"
WTF?
You know it's bad when even Republicans are like, dude.
Right.
Yo, chill.
This feels like one of those Cutco knives pyramid schemes, but like Congress edition. He's like, dude, you got to hear about this.
Oh, man.
And I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll make billions of dollars. But my question is, will that bring him happiness?
Whitney, but who's going to replace him?
Well, we're going to have an election. Hi, everybody at home. I regret to inform you that here in Nashville's 1 year every 4 years where we have no elections, we got to have an election. The Tennessee Secretary of State has to call for that election to replace him, and primary could happen anywhere from 55 to 80 days after that. But quite a few names for that primary are being tossed around on the Republican side. Tennessee Department of General Services Commissioner Matt Van Epps has announced a run and has reportedly already quit his job to prepare for that, according to the Tennessee Lookout. He's been joined by Springfield resident John Thorpe and Major Jason Knight of Clarksville, both military veterans. Michael Lofty from Americans for Prosperity is also entertaining a run. Y'all might remember Americans for Prosperity as the conservative group funded by the Koch brothers. And then two more big names worth mentioning, potentially getting in the race on the Republican side. Gino Bulso
Oh, no.
And you might be thinking to yourselves, wait, Tennessee District 7, that's like the north part of Nashville and it goes up to Clarksville and kind of is that whole top corner of the state. Nay, my friends. I'd like to introduce you to gerrymandering, where it is possible to draw a district that somehow both encompasses Clarksville and Williamson County, while conveniently going around a large section of metropolitan Nashville and Davidson County. And then another name that is being tossed around is former state rep Brandon Ogles. Does that name sound familiar to anybody?
Ogles? Wait a minute.
Yes, that's right. He's the cousin of Andy Ogles. District 5 Congressman Andy Ogles under investigation for a variety of things. In an investigation that continues to just sit there. Phil Williams reported on this, that his FBI investigation seems to have stalled since Trump came into office, and I'm sure people at home can form their own theories as to why. And then on the Democratic side, there's a lot of talk about everybody needing to unify around a single candidate, strategically thinking, you could avoid the primary that way and spend your resources on campaigning in the general sense. So Representative Vincent Dixie, state representative, he represents me as well as you, Marie, I'm pretty sure. And full disclosure, I did knock a gazillion doors to get Vincent Dixie elected. He has confirmed that he's considering it. Others being floated include state reps Bo Mitchell and John Ray Clemens. And we've also heard about the potential return of former Mayor Megan Barry, who says she's taking it under advisement.
Could that seat flip to a Democrat?
Again, I'd like to remind you all about our good friend, Mr. Gerrymandering. If you go look at the map.
Name's Gerrymandering.
Oh my gosh.
He likes his martinis really twisty.
He cannot walk a straight line, that's for sure.
It's drawn intentionally to make the possibility of it becoming a democratically held seat incredibly difficult. Anything is possible. You have to work for what you want, people. That's all I'll say. Whatever you want in this election, you should get out there and work for it. Pick the candidate who you believe in, support them, and ensure that Nashville has the best possible representation to use our voices in Congress, along with the voices of our friends in Clarksville and Points West. Okay, yes. Moving on.
Yeah, so the FIFA Club World Cup kicks off on Saturday at Hard Rock Stadium down in Miami, and it's going to be between Inter Miami playing a team from Egypt. Promise this. It
becomes relevant.
It becomes relevant to Nashville. The Department of Homeland Security announced that ICE and CBP personnel would be at the game providing security, which does beg the question, will ICE agents be at the upcoming Club World Cup match here in Nashville?
That's a great question. We're hosting, I think, 3 total.
Yeah, so Nashville's going to be hosting 3 matches at Geodis starting on June 20th with Club Leon of Mexico versus another club from Tunisia. From what I've read, they're already struggling to sell tickets. So let's go ahead and throw in a good old fear tactic.
Right.
I mean, this really bums me out. This should be a family-friendly event celebrating a world sport and world-class athletes.
ICE is also saying, if you're not a U.S. citizen, bring documentation. So does that mean that right next to the person scanning your Ticketmaster ticket and the metal detector, there's going to be an ICE agent saying papers, please?
And I mean, even looking ahead, 2026, we're hosting the actual World Cup. What is that going to be like?
It's really scary. But anyway, we know we've had La Brigada de Oro, the largest sort of Hispanic Latino supporters group for Nashville SC, has already sat out a couple of games this season due to their concerns around ICE. So it will be very interesting to see how this impacts the audience.
I hate to report that there was some heartbreaking local news this week coming out of CMA Fest. Whitney, will you break it down for us?
Nashville legal pioneer Dot Dobbins was struck and killed while using a crosswalk on 3rd Avenue North in Germantown to walk her dog to the dog park on Sunday night. Dot was 77, and she's being remembered as a pioneering female attorney who dedicated her career to protecting vulnerable women and families, according to News Channel 5. There are tributes to her popping up all over the news and social media. I was really moved by how many people reacted to this by posting replies that said, I was just talking to her yesterday. It's clear that she was beloved in her Salem Town neighborhood and across the city. The man who allegedly hit her with his Shelby Silverado is country artist Connor Smith, who failed to yield to what is, by Nashville standards, a decently marked crosswalk. Smith is signed to the Big Machine Records imprint Valerie Records and had performed on the Riverfront stage earlier in the day on Sunday. He has yet to be charged with a crime, and in a statement released by his attorney, says he plans to cooperate fully with the ongoing investigation. Daniel, Marie, blunt question, do you trust our crosswalks?
No. And I'll tell you this. So Wednesday night, I went to the Belcourt to see the new Wes Anderson movie. I was driving down 21st Avenue. There is the clearest marked crosswalk on 21st Avenue. It even has a sign that says crosswalk, Tennessee state law, yield to pedestrians. There's lights flashing. There were people waiting and cars zooming by.
Ugh.
And I watched these people as they were trying to cross. It was a mother and a daughter, and they were panicked. I mean, are we failing our drive? Are they not teaching this? It's so incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
And I am so sad for Dot. I'm sad for Nashville. I feel like
I will point out that all news reports have indicated that Connor Smith was not impaired. Reports seem to indicate that he wasn't even looking at his phone. It may just be a disregard for the concept of the crosswalk and a misunderstanding of who, according to Tennessee state law, has the right of way. And that's humans outside of metal objects.
at a crosswalk, I try to slow down, but the person behind me is, I'm so afraid they're going to hit me and then make me go into the crosswalk and hit a pedestrian. Like, we all have to work together here.
It feels like a symptom of a larger cultural driving issue. We had that episode on just how awful driving here is, but it's like a symptom of that. Nashville has some of the most selfish, like entitled drivers I've ever seen. And so this just feels like another tragic incident and, you know, result of that culture.
Speaking of infrastructure, the other giant local story we want to talk about is the fire at the downtown public library parking garage. According to News Channel 5, the fire broke out around 2 a.m. Tuesday morning at the parking garage located at the corner of 6th and Commerce, spreading to the 4th and 5th floors, where firefighters also discovered a partial structural collapse. No one, thankfully, was injured, and the library's puppet trucks are okay. But firefighters did have to evacuate the nearby Renaissance Hotel, and the downtown library remains closed until at least Sunday. And it is still under investigation as to what caused the fire.
Y'all, I don't trust that garage.
No, you don't, Whitney.
It's got dark, dark energy. And it has for years. Even before in 2023, you know, they had to close it because they found structural issues. And now it has caught on fire. But sadly, it's also the cheapest place to park long-term downtown. And the library validates.
It's my favorite place to park downtown. But I do understand what you're saying about the dark vibe there. You can't explain it, but I always try to park by the exit or the entrance, you know, where there's lightness versus darkness.
I'm telling you, maybe it's a hellmouth. We don't know. This is going to really screw up a lot of people's lives, especially people who live downtown or work downtown and use that as their long-term parking. So I'm just glad nobody was hurt. That was some scary stuff.
Well, y'all remember, if you want more funding for things like crosswalks and garages that don't fall down, you should be paying attention to Metro Council. And hey, this upcoming Tuesday is the meeting where the substitute budget will be considered. This is the council's amended version of the mayor's budget and should incorporate at least a little bit of what they have heard from the community at the big public hearing earlier this month.
Yeah, we're going to have council budget chair, council member at large, Delicia Porterfield on the show for y'all on Monday to talk about that substitute budget and what her thought process was as she's been putting it together, incorporating all these requests from departments and council members and civilians just like you and me. So stay tuned for that. And you still have time to reach out to your council members over the weekend if there are priorities that you want to see.
And now, finally, on to some good news.
Dun-dun.
Good news. Sorry.
Wow. Daniel.
Oh, is that the library garage talking?
That's the hard metal, death metal version of Nicole's song.
Hellmouth Garage death metal version of good news. Folks, we've talked a lot on this show about the, let's call them disruptions caused by tourism to our way of life as locals. Well, Good news, dun-dun-dun-dun. The Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation has launched a new ad campaign promoting, quote, respect and responsibility to tourists. According to Axios, the campaign is called Destination Stewardship, and it encourages visitors, but also locals, to respect yourself, others, and our city. But Marie, you recently did a bunch of research on how Nashville got to be the way it is, and the Tennessean dropped a big reporting package yesterday about Nashville as an evolving city. What stood out to you about that?
Okay, so this article read to me like, you know, when you've been gaslit the entire time in a toxic relationship, but then you have proof. And you're like, look here, I have proof. I've been gaslit. This article read like that to me because we've been saying, yes, the hit ABC television show Nashville is what caused everyone to come here. But this article does double down on that.
Wait, we were right this whole time?
We were right.
Yay!
It's Connie Britton's fault. No, just kidding. I love you. Connie, if you're listening, hi. I love your hair. I did find it fascinating, though, that they said in this article in 2004, there was a 150-person citywide branding effort that was led by the Convention Bureau, where they had stakeholders, which included business executives and higher education leaders and local policymakers, to kind of come up with what Nashville's brand was at that time, or, you know, how they were going to brand Nashville. And thank God they didn't go with the buckle of the Bible Belt.
Was that on the table?
That, Athens of the South, and then Music City, USA.
Okay, Music City.
So obviously they went with Music City, but then they also stated that it wasn't clear where the music actually was for tourists. So they had to highlight where all the music was taking place. And they really branded that. And now we are a worldwide brand luring people to Nashville to hear our country music.
In branding the places where you could hear music, they immediately made those places start to disappear because of gentrification and corporate investment and big conglomerates coming in and taking over these venues.
Nashville Guru, they actually did a list of all the celebrity bars that Nashville has now. I could not believe the amount of celebrity bars we have. Also, I didn't know some of those people were celebrities, but here we are.
Yeah, and those are all owned by giant restaurant corporations.
Right.
They're not owned by
and just slapping a name on it.
Post Malone.
Right. But
they all used to probably, I would assume, be local businesses.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, fun times. I don't know how to segue from this into Father's Day. All right. Well, if you are here and or coming here for Father's Day, please respect our city. And also to all those who celebrate, please have a happy one. It's also Bonnaroo, which kicked off last night down in Manchester. Daniel, I know I'll see you out there Saturday. What does the weather look like?
It's gonna rain.
Oh no, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys.
We've got scattered thunderstorms pretty much throughout the entire weekend, so it's gonna be a muddy roo for sure.
Nothing stops the roo, though.
I mean, I'm personally hoping for a Goo Goo Dolls Live in Buffalo Iris moment where it's just pouring rain. But I'm hoping we recreate that with Avril Lavigne singing I'm With You.
Okay. All right. I'm on board with that. I would also love a repeat of the My Morning Jacket epic 2008 Bonnaroo performance that went from midnight to 3 a.m. in rain that was coming down so hard that a man actually peed on me. And I didn't move and he didn't move because it was raining so hard that I'm sure the pee was immediately washed from my leg.
Oh, my gosh.
Stay safe out there, y'all. Other things being impacted by weather, Cheekwood has said that they unfortunately have to reschedule their fan favorite classic car show. If you had that on your itinerary, please note that this event will now be held Saturday, June 28th and Sunday, June 29th.
And remember, if you're not going to Rue, it's the Full Moon Pickin' Party in Percy Warner Park. It's from 6 to 10 p.m. tonight. It's $25, all ages. I went to this when I first moved to Nashville, and it was my welcome to Nashville moment. So if you want to buy tickets, go to warnerparks.org, and you can buy your tickets now.
Awesome. You can also start your Juneteenth celebrations early this weekend. Here are some great options. First of all, it's Juneteenth Restaurant Week, supporting Black-owned businesses. There's 25 different restaurants and shops participating, from Slim and Huskies to Pineapple's Food Service and Events. And y'all, I know Pine. She cooks insanely good soul food, and she'll be having stuffed pineapples on the menu. So go to Juneteenth615.com/taste of freedom to see the full list of participating vendors. And that's probably a great thing to put on your schedule if it is going to be raining, because that's inside. We do have two great outside events. Tomorrow is Black on Buchanan, hosted by the Equity Alliance, 3 to 8 p.m. on Buchanan in North Nashville. And then tomorrow and Sunday is Music City Freedom Fest in Hadley Park. Also free, a ton of fun. Get your kids out there. It's going to be a party. And then can I just mention one more cool thing, y'all, before we go? I want to say hooray to WeGo Public Transit for partnering with the Nashville Farmers Market to bring fresh local produce to the plaza at the Elizabeth Duff Transit Center. That's WeGo Central downtown. This is going to be held on the second and fourth Wednesday of each month from 2 to 5 p.m. now through October, so that folks who take the bus or connect on the bus can pick up fresh local produce right there. So kudos to everybody involved in that.
I have to end the show today with some amazing news, too. I have officially adopted my sweet baby girl, Lottie, from the Nashville Humane Association after fostering her for 2 months. I just couldn't let this baby go. Foster fail. I love her so much. She's sitting right here. She will be on the pod for sure because she likes to make some noise in the background. Just another shout out to Nashville Humane Association. They were so amazing throughout this entire process.
That is wonderful.
And I just love them.
Well, yeah. I know that I speak for Wally, and Daniel, may I also speak for Ryman?
Of course.
When we say welcome to the family, Lottie Dottie. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. We'll be out and about all weekend, hopefully staying dry.
Yeah, and hey, y'all, there is a No Kings protest happening on Saturday.
Why, yes, there is. It's from 10 to 12 at the Bicentennial Capitol Mall.
Stay safe out there.
Stay safe and yield to pedestrians.
Yes.
See you all on the farm.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson. Our executive producer is Whitney Pasterek. Our producer is Daniel Sumstein. Our Hey Nashville newsletter editor is Margaret Kingsbury, and our theme music is by Prof Jenkins, with additional music by Tambor from Triple Scoop Music via Getty Images. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell your friends, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Toodles!